No time at the present to hop back into the world of San Ignacio. Witness, please give your name and occupation to the court, if you will. It's Mario Ramos. Been working the fields all my life. Mr. Ramos, you have testimony to show at the court, don't you? I sure do, and I'd rather get right to it if you don't mind. Surprised that the witch is standing there. Thought it'd be over by now. I'm not a witch, Mr. Ramos. I've got the right to fight that sort of accusation. Yeah, you aren't fooling anyone. I know what I saw, witch. You try to ruin a man's livelihood, you should be prepared for him to ruin you. Mr. Ramos, do keep in mind that we have laws and procedures to ensure fairness here. Yeah, right, sure. Hey, witch, do me a favor. When they ask if you want to burn or drown, I'd say burning is better. We're on the same page there. Your ashes can join all the other witches just like you, all buried in the forest. At least then, you'll be feeding the soil and doing good for once in your sorry lives. If I bite my tongue more, it's gonna bleed. No response, huh? Fair enough. Let's just get this over with then. I've got a long day in the fields ahead of me fixing the damage you did. So let's wrap this up all nice and quick. Mr. Ramos, I appreciate how on point you're being. An exemplary witness, gold star. Please continue and tell us about your accusations against Miss Alvarez. I think I'll do just that. I don't like wasting time. Alright, I need to pay attention. See if he says anything off. Oh boy, great Ace Attorney music. Does that mean we're gonna get that great Allegro theme at some point? It was about 1 AM or so. I was making my last rounds on the farm. That's when I heard a strange chanting. Figured it must have been a trespasser. Lantern in hand, I followed the sounds, and that's when I saw the defendant over there. She was pouring something on my crops, but got scared off when she noticed the lantern light. That chanting she did, it had to be a witch spell. She was poisoning my crops. Couldn't have been anyone else that I saw. I've got eyes like a hawk and she's distinct enough. Couldn't have been anyone else I saw. Couldn't have been anyone else I saw. Well, that about cover it. All I've got to say at least. Thank you for your testimony, Mr. Ramos. It's much appreciated. Dr. Alvarez, you may now begin your questioning. Just do us all a favor and die with some dignity, won't you? Save us all some time. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't even know the right procedure here. I guess I'll just have to wing it and hope for the best. Don't have to be a lawyer to ask for Don't have to be a lawyer to ask for details or point out issues in what he says, right? They really just throw you to the wolves if you're accused of being a witch, huh? Miss Alvarez, we're waiting. Right, sure, here goes something. Hopefully we can end this before long and I don't lose the whole day's work. So he is losing a day's work by coming here, so if he is lying on purpose, he's got to have some sort of motive for it. Of course, he could just be completely mistaken about the doppelganger thing, and he's just being aggressive because, you know, she's just some son of a witch. Well, she's an actual witch. We're gonna... I know what I want to do here, but I will press anyway. No screaming, at least. That's probably for the best in this kind of situation. 1 AM. Is that common for you? I realize the farmers work very long hours, but there wouldn't be any sunlight then. That's the schedule I've always stuck with. Anyone can vouch for that. There's a pretty simple reason for it. Not that complicated. Once you get a bit older, you have to be much more mindful of the heat. It's better for me to work later in the day and into the night for the sake of my health. I guess that makes sense. Poking deeper than that probably won't help me much. I should try a different angle here. So, you'd fall asleep shortly after, right? Are you feeling tired at all? Deep in my soul, I'm always tired. Most farmers are. But I'm alert and ready while I'm up, so don't try and doubt my memory here. Alright, continue then. What happened next? What kind of trespasser starts chanting out of nowhere, though? That's the sort of asking to get caught, if you ask me. Don't know, don't care much. Why don't you tell me and the rest of us yourself? You're the one who was chatting those strange nonsense words. Allegedly, you mean? Yeah, sure, if that's how you want to play it. Anyway, point is, I got no idea, but it happened. Maybe it was to scare me away for all I know, but that backfired. I guess just asking more about this isn't gonna go anywhere. So, go on, I guess. I will, if you stop interrupting me over every single little thing. Now, obviously, I'm not the type who just lets trespassers do what they want. How can you be so sure it was me exactly? It was nighttime, right? A lantern can only help so much. It helps enough. Besides, you're easy to spot. An outsider like you stands out pretty easily, for obvious reasons. I've lived in San Ignacio for about a decade now. Don't change what I saw, you're still easy to pick out. Besides, the chanting was hard to listen to, but I'm pretty sure it was your voice too. That sounds very unreliable to me, but I can tell I'm not going to change your mind here. You'd be right, you won't. And before you say anything, my trusted lantern was working very well that night. I guess I'll just let you keep going on then. Wish you'd do me one better and just fess up already, but I lost hope for that. Now, I saw the witch doing the most peculiar thing. Pouring something, you say? Yeah, I do. That was meant to prompt you to elaborate, you see. Why should I? Wouldn't you know what you pour better than me? I don't appreciate being made to act like a fool. Don't waste time and ask me these sorts of pointless questions. I really think it could be important, though. Well, I don't. So much for this approach. Maybe he'll be more talkative if I can point out an issue elsewhere. That's my only hope. That's what I was thinking. He's probably going to mention the fact that it was green liquid after we point out this first contradiction at some point. Either he'll add a new statement here or be in the latest testimony. Now, let me get to the actual witchcraft part about what I'm talking about. That's making a lot of assumptions all at once. What else could you have been doing there? Mr. Amos is right. A witch's spell would explain the strange chanting. It would also explain why you panicked and left when you were caught. Please stop acting like it's guaranteed that it was me. But of course, this is just a very strong possibility we should consider. Don't need you to speak on my behalf, Mr. Alonso, but I appreciate it all the same. At least someone here is speaking sense. Are your crops damaged at all? At least answer that. Well, I went to report what happened to that guard from earlier. When I came back to have a look, they all seemed more or less fine. They were alive. I must have stopped you in time, but I can't know that for sure. I'll have to see how it impacts the harvest, and that's a long time away from now. Time we don't have considering how quickly witch trials are conducted. Of course, trying to damage my harvest is as good as actually doing it in my book. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyway, I know what I saw. You're certain that you were able to see someone that looked like me? Yes, I am. I find that hard to believe considering the circumstances. How unfortunate. Well, this approach is going nowhere. Back to the drawing board. Let's just keep calm and try to see what I can do about this. I think I've got it. I see. That's probably a hint system, but I already know what's going to be going on. This one is pretty... Oh, we can read Matteo's profile. A local farmer I've seen him passing while in San Ignacio, but who I've never spoken to. The little I know about him indicates he's the quiet type who prefers to keep to himself. Do we read these other ones? Esperanza Guerrero, a bishop who also holds the title of Inquisitor. She handles many witchcraft trials. Within the church, she's a prominent figure in the Old Guard faction, opposed to moderates and reformists. Yeah, I could. Surprisingly enough, I could tell she's not a reformer. San Ignacio's most experienced prosecutor, a noble who I've heard nothing but bad things about. He's prosecuted many cases resulting in the death or imprisonment of many supposed witches. Anyway, we'll be presenting the witch. That's it. I know exactly what you must have really seen. You weren't lying about seeing someone who looked like me, were you? I'd ask if that means you're fasten up, but I doubt I'd be so lucky. Your tone's the one people have when they got rotten idea in their skull. If I may, Miss Alvarez, you should speak directly and plainly. Otherwise, it almost seems like you're trying to stall for time to think of something. I understand, of course, that the uneducated need more time to think. Not like me, I'm reading my book, My First ABCs. Yes, this is very important literature. So, feel free to take the additional time if you need to. I don't need more time for this, and I'm going to prove you wrong here. Think about it. Isn't there an obvious alternative explanation here? There's someone involved in all of this who happens to look exactly like me after all. This is complete nonsense. I know who I saw. Your Grace, you saw the corpse. What do you think? I believe there's wisdom in what you're saying, Miss Alvarez. While this type of defense is most unusual, this is a rare case where I'll allow it. The witch's corpse unmistakably looked like Miss Alvarez over there. So, you're really going to make me put in an effort, are you? Figures. This argument of yours is a poor excuse of a jester's trick, if there ever was one. I've got more respect for clowns than witches, you know. Whatever kind of clever thing you're trying to do isn't really panning out. What you just said right now was basically nothing, to be blunt. Let me point out the obvious issue then. The other witch was dead. Had to be you. Unless, of course, you're saying she came back to life. What a truly frightening world that would be. We're blessed to be able to rid ourselves of witches without them coming back. Hold on, we checked the notes here. Farmer came to inform of the damaged crops. And then hours later, the crime is reported. So, no, she's not dead by this point. We're blessed to be able to rid ourselves of witches without them coming back. Miss Alvarez, do you have some sort of counter-argument? Yeah, I do. Complete nonsense, and you know it. Maybe some evidence will change your mind here. What rubbish. That witch was dead by the time I was making my last rounds. But that doesn't add up when you look at the evidence. Just what sort of sophistry are you going for here? Explain yourself. Then let me be more specific. She was still alive by then. You just have to look at the post-mortem report here. Oh. So, yeah, that corroborates the notes. Yeah. So either present would have worked. So that's good. Then just compare it to what Billy wrote in his notes. My doppelganger died sometime between 3:30 a.m. and 4 a.m. Wait a second, just hold on here. So, this is actually interesting. I didn't remember this before. But yeah, there's a time of death. And so they've got science advanced enough to where they can find out the time of death. but not advanced enough to figure out that witches aren't real, so... I wonder what time period this is supposed to take place. Interesting. Wait a sec. Just hold on here. You've connected it, right? It was a couple of hours after your encounter with her. At that time, she was still alive. It could have been her you saw. So I see. Guess a rat like you won't die so easily. Miss Alvarez has raised a very strong alternative explanation. I have to say that it sounds convincing enough to me. Thank you for hearing me out, Your Grace. Still not a fan of her, but she seems more reasonable than Rodrigo, at least. She said some pretty awful stuff, but somehow I feel almost lucky. My standard's just incredibly low now. I must bring up the fact this is only a possibility that's been raised. The fact is that this count of witchcraft has not been disproven, not in the slightest. As you can see, I'm reading Harry Potter right now, and yeah, there are definitely witches in this. So witches must definitely be real because they're written down here. I rest my case. Really? I'm not sure what would make you happy at this point. Enough of this already. I got a secret weapon I thought I might have to use. What? You heard me, witch. Bet you've missed this, haven't you? I literally have no idea what you're showing me here. Mr. Ramos, may I have a look at what you're holding? Can you show me what you got? Yeah, all you feast your eyes on this. That witch over there dropped this when I chased her off. Ooh, do they have fingerprints back then? That'd be interesting. Although, that'd be very odd if they had the same fingerprints as well as being identical, because, like, even identical twins don't have the same fingerprints, because fingerprints are caused by, I think it's abrasions when you're within the womb, so it would be the specific way you're sort of jumbled about in there. The specific sort of contact that is made with your skin, and that results in completely unique fingerprints even for identical twins. This is the poison that she was pouring on my crops. Crop Killer has been added to the core record. Crop Killer X. Available now. Huh? Wait a second. Are you sure this is poison? It looks familiar. So, since the quote by Matteo, according to Matteo, my lookalike poured the contents of this bottle onto his fields in an attempt to poison them. A small amount of green liquid remains. Boom. May the record show the defendant admitted to having seen this bottle before. You're twisting my words and you know it. I need to ignore Rodrigo being awful for a few moments. This is bothering me. This substance looks really familiar to me. Is it really some kind of crop killer? Sounds off. It's an ominous green, but it just doesn't feel like poison to me. The smell is off too. It smells like... It smells like crushed up plants to me. Can't quite make out the combo. Mixed with water and honey, I think. There's more too. Look at her looking at this poison so intently. She must be proud of this vile thing she made. Can't even control yourself. Huh? I must admit, Miss Alvarez, you're doing an excellent job at appearing very suspicious. It truly looked like you were devising some sort of devilry in your mind. While I can't permit your strange behavior as evidence, I have to say it was very peculiar. Please do be careful, Miss Alvarez. A more zealous type than myself would easily judge you as a witch here and now. It's gonna bother me, but I can't keep examining whatever this is just yet. Maybe I'll have a moment later, but come to think of it. So this is your secret weapon. Yeah, I knew you'd recognize it, and the court would see through your lies then and there. You haven't really connected to me at all, you know. Are all witches this stubborn? Your expression said it all. You clearly recognized it. Have to say I was glad that a little bit of it still remained. You spilled most of it when you dropped it while making your clumsy getaway. If anything, I think you've actually helped my case now that I think about it. Cope however you want. Now you're just speaking nonsense. What if I told you I can connect this bottle to our mystery witch? Very intriguing, Miss Alvarez. Can you back that up? Yeah, of course I can. Just take a look at this, and this bottle's connection with my doppelganger becomes clear. Which was it? It was the autopsy, or the post-mortem, that mentions the strange green liquid. Ooh. If you take a look at the post-mortem report or Billy's associate, so it's mentioned in both again. I think you understood quite quickly enough. Don't try to trick me. There's no bottle mentioned in either of these. Indeed, there isn't. And yes, I fear I know exactly where she's going with this. He's not going to argue with it? Maybe it's just too clear-cut for him to bother arguing. Should I feel relieved about that, or worried? Now that she's drawn the connection, I believe I see it too. Stop speaking around it and talk already. What kind of devilry did you pull off to get the judge and the prosecutor on your side? How do you see anything that's been going on and thinking they're remotely on my side? Here's the thing, this bottle carried a green liquid of some sort, right? Poison, like I said. Well, what that is isn't important right now. The point is that we've seen this before, and thankfully, someone here can confirm it. Your Grace, does this remind you of anything? Before the vile witch was buried, I closely examined the corpse, of course. Parts of her clothes had a strange green liquid on them that I couldn't identify. I assumed she had spilled something on herself. I thought little of it. Wait just a second here. I see what you're trying to pull here. Rodrigo, do something already. She's making a fool of me. Mr. Ramos, I don't particularly enjoy this situation either. However, it is the duty of a noble to be a shining example for the peasantry. This includes hearing out any arguments others have, no matter how far-fetched. There's so many sarcastic remarks I want to make to that, but I'd be getting sidetracked. You said that the person you saw ran away immediately, right? And it sounded like they didn't see you coming until you made your presence known. You even said they dropped this bottle, didn't you? So here's the most logical chain of events as far as I'm concerned. Nothing about witchcraft is logical. Stop trying to fool me! Well, he's right about that, but for the wrong reason. I'm just gonna have to push on. Arguing with him is just a waste of time at this point. Our unknown witch was pouring something onto your crops. As soon as she was caught, she was surprised enough to drop the bottle. During the course of this fumbling around, some of it must have gotten on her. She must have decided it wasn't worth taking time to pick up the bottle. Instead, she ran away and escaped from Mr. Ramos. Simple enough. It's not that complicated when you think of it that way. For this specific accusation, at least. You think that's good enough? It still could have been you. I mean, sure, you can keep accusing me if you want, but I trust that we're all reasonable enough to see the more likely possibility. Well, no, I don't trust that, but let's pretend I do. I think I've proven it's more likely for it not to have been me than Mr. Ramos saw, at least. That's worth something, isn't it? You aren't gonna let her get away with this, are you, Your Grace? Mr. Ramos, please calm yourself. The truth is, I think she's speaking reason here. Her version of events, when fully confirmed, seems to be the more likely of the two now. I must say, Miss Alvarez, this is a very interesting tactic. Interesting how? Don't like how you're wording it, you know. You're essentially refuting your first accusation by strengthening the second accusation against you. I don't need to remind you that either one being proven true is enough, do I? Surely even you can see how dangerous that stratagem is. What are you talking about? Nothing I've said strengthens the second accusation against me at all. All of what you did just now doesn't register to me as you figuring things out. Indeed, such competent thinking would be extremely uncommon among the peasantry. The alternate explanation makes more sense to me. Don't forget what the second witchcraft charge entails, Miss Alvarez. You stabbing this nameless witch as part of some barbaric ritual. From the sounds of it, you two are collaborators. From the sounds of it, you're a sore loser. Damn it, I didn't stop myself that time. Petty insults have no place in a holy court such as this, Miss Alvarez. Mr. Alonso, may I recommend continuing your previous thought? My point here is that this book is very interesting. I'm just going to ignore you all for a few more seconds. My point here is that Miss Alvarez, knowing all of this, is very suspicious. Perhaps her body double told her the story before she was killed? Or perhaps it was Miss Alvarez that Mr. Ramos saw. They look identical, after all. That includes their clothes. She could have swapped outfits in order to pin everything on the dead witch. A very crude plan, I must admit, but an effective one that we mustn't overlook. I explained all my logic to you and how I came up with my version of events. Your theory just now is essentially in the realm of conspiracy theory. I don't think so, Miss Alvarez. He's making sense to me. If logic doesn't work in a court, then what will? Here, may I speak? Don't like being forgotten here. Of course, Mr. Ramos. Accept my apologies for Miss Alvarez's rudeness. Is this just what the justice system is like? Or is this just how witch trials are being conducted? I think the first one, especially in this universe. I'm not sure which answer scares me more, honestly. I thought this would be short, but it looks like it won't be. The days are washed in. Don't like it, but I'm gonna head out and wait in case you all need me again. Giving up the day's work is foul, but it's worth it if we can bring this witch to justice. You really hate me, don't you? It's not about hatred at all. It's about messing with my livelihood. They never should have let someone with your shady background into the village anyway. Your type always ends up causing trouble. It's just a matter of when. My type, huh? He's not saying it, but it's obvious what he means. I think you should leave the stand then. Gladly. Your Grace, do I have your permission here? Of course, Mr. Ramos. Thank you for doing your civic duty. May you be blessed on the path you walk. May your harvest be fruitful. We may call upon you again, Mr. Ramos. I'm guessing I should get that other witness here. Or are you going about this some other way that I don't get? Yes, please tell Miss Domingo that her presence is requested. You've got it. Here's hoping she can put an end to this witch's nonsense. So, is it a racial-based thing? Because, yeah, that definitely looks a lot browner than our friendly farmer over here. As Matteo left the stand, I was left with my thoughts for a few brief moments. I deliberately avoided eye contact with either Rodrigo or Esperanza. It was strange. Even though I thought I spoke persuasively, it wasn't really enough. Why did I still feel like I was losing every battle anyway? I closed my eyes and tried to steady my heartbeat. This pressure they were putting on me was something I could handle well enough, at least. Years of mercenary work had hardened me enough, but what if it hadn't? What if the Dot from 10 years ago was accused of witchcraft? Maybe the pressure would get to me then. I idly wondered how many other people accused of witchcraft felt similar. How many were pressured into confessing after being made vulnerable? Maybe it was a pointless struggle on my part. I wasn't convinced that they would wouldn't just charge me with witchcraft anyway. Even if I disproved the allegations, it was easy to pressure an outsider after all. Still, the part of me that accepted my death as inevitability was petty. If they were going to sentence me to death no matter what, I'd at least fight. Yeah. And maybe, just maybe, I could live another day. I would allow spite and stubbornness to fuel me. Eventually, I heard some footsteps and the world suddenly seemed real again. I opened my eyes, my heart calmer. Witness, please state your name and occupation for the court's records. Before I do that, she's not gonna curse me, is she? You're looking at me? Please tell me you're not talking about me. That's not a no. This was a bad idea, wasn't it? Can you at least not turn me into a frog? I don't like frogs. It's a poor time for jokes, you know. Miss Domingo, you have nothing to worry about. I am a level 11 knight. I can easily smite this witch if she should try to turn you into an amphibian creature. Brazenly conducting witchcraft in front of us now would be ill-advised. Yeah, that'd be a pretty quick way to get myself sentenced to death. Whew. Well, that's a relief. Are you gonna be okay? Oh, wow, you're pretty nice for an evil witch, you know. Anyone ever told you that? For various reasons, no. Let's get back on top of things, yeah? My name is Ana Domingo. Right now, I cleaned the streets. Of crime, not crime. Not sure if I had to clarify. Oh, but in my occupation field, can you clarify this is just a temporary thing? Really, just saving up for now until I've got the means to become a merchant in the capital. Your future ambitions are notable and commendable, but have nothing to do with this trial, you filthy peasant. Oh, yeah, I guess this isn't really about me specifically, no. But hey, your Grace, can I ask you something? But of course, Miss Domingo, if you have a question, don't hesitate to ask. Think if I do good here, you can put a good word in for me at the capital? You'd be doing me a favour, and you'd be doing the capital a favour too if you think about it. The world's moving more towards commerce and merchants are getting influential, right? Supporting my hopes and dreams is sort of like justice too, right? Oh, you know, Grace, you're really looking great. I bet you get complimented a lot. That's an easy way to dismiss what she's doing, but let's not do that. I want to say she's coming across as self-centered here, but I can't. I don't know her circumstances, but being a street sweeper must be exhausting and thankless work. Wanting to become an affluent merchant is actually pretty common. It's one of the only few ways for the peasantry to plausibly gain any kind of social mobility. But maybe I'm sympathizing with her too much here. She's still accusing me of witchcraft. But all those attempts to appeal to the higher class are so familiar to me. How many people out there feel like they have to do this? Social commentary. Definitely not relevant in the modern day. This is 100% focused on the past. Miss Domingo, I'm going to ask that you please stay focused here. Don't go off on any more tangents on your stupid jokes. I'm talking to you, the person who's voicing me right now. You've been asked this once before by Mr. Alonso already. Self-restraint and humility are also virtues that all must exercise. I'm sure that you'll be a fine merchant one day. I look forward to it. Right. Okay, sorry, Your Grace. Went too far. She's actually not that bad at attempting to curry favour either. After all, the bishop isn't actually seriously upset with her. Neither is Rodrigo. They'll definitely remember her and... Wait, maybe I'm just being too cynical right now. I should probably mind my own business here anyway. Here's hoping I can find a way out of this accusation, too. So my testimony, yeah? Any specifics you wanted? The court would appreciate an overview of your accusation against Miss Alvarez in general. Your relevant actions before you made your report to Mr. Vargas should suffice. Oh yeah, I can do that. Just let me think it over for a moment here. According to her, she saw me stab someone who looked exactly like me. So both me and my doppelganger are accounted for here, but I didn't stab anyone. I don't want to consider that there's yet another person who looks like me, so she has to be mistaken some other way, or she's outright lying? Guess I should wait and hear a testimony before I overthink this anyway. Is there going to be some sort of mirror? Like a reflection somehow? Okay, I think I'm ready. Let's take it from the top. I'm a street sweeper who works overnight. It's very dangerous and stressful work. Part of my usual route takes me close to the forest of witches. Not a fan of that part. It's usually creepy but uneventful. That night though I heard two strange voices chanting. That's when I saw it. Two people who looked exactly alike, looking very ominous. Suddenly, one of them stabbed the other with a knife while still chanting. Right, I don't think that can be a reflection. Unless there's, you know, something crazy going on. We'll figure it out. It looked exactly like a ritualistic sacrifice of some kind. The dead witch hadn't resisted. The remaining witch made her finishing touches and took care of some things. I want to pry into that one. After being paralysed for a moment, I snuck out to find a guard on duty. By the time we were back, the witch who'd lived had completely vanished. Okay, and that's it. That's how I remember it going. I know for a fact I didn't stab anyone, so there has to be some kind of issue here. This testimony seems very decisive to me. It's clear that the defendant and her co-conspirator were in the midst of some sort of ritual. For what purpose, we cannot even begin to fathom. Witchcraft will never be understood by good and just people, after all. Hold on, you're being a bit presumptuous here. Oh? How so, Miss Alvarez? The verdict seems moments away from where I'm standing. You aren't going to claim that there was yet another person who happened to look like you, are you? Well, I had considered it briefly before, but he's right. As much as I hate to admit it, the odds of that are next to impossible, so I'd have better luck arguing this from other angles. I have a right to question your testimony, don't I? You'll see. I suppose you should exercise your rights to the fullest before they're stripped away from you. One must gasp for freedom before you're put to justice. Your Grace, do I still have to be here? Yes, you do, Miss Domingo. Miss Alvarez has a right to question your account. I thought so. Okay then. I guess things will probably be okay. She seems nice for an evil witch type. So maybe she'll go easy on me? She seems nervous to be on the stand. Is it really because of me? I don't think I'm that scary, but I guess it's easy to see me that way. Once you're sure someone's a witch, it could be easy not to think of them as human. So what should I be doing now? If you could just repeat your testimony slowly, that would be great. Of course, I've got a good memory for these things, you know. So does every other witness, somehow. You're not unique in that regard. Word for word, in fact. Are you all on your own when you're doing it? That seems dangerous. I must concur. It's dangerous work for a woman to do on her own. A woman shouldn't be doing that type of work regardless, especially one of your age. Wait to take what I said and twist into something abhorrent. Oh, it's no trouble at all. Don't worry about little old me. I'm usually on my own, and you're right about it not being the safest job. But that's actually why I have it as my job. That's not up. You don't seem like the risk-taking type. No one wants to take this job is the main thing. The village is very short-handed. So the overnight cleaning shift pays much more than the dayside equivalent does. And if you're an ambitious type like me who wants to strike it big, it's a great idea. I can't say I approve of this, but your choice of occupation is irrelevant to the trial. Someone among the lower class has to do it, though it really should be a man's work. I wouldn't argue with him, but that'd be a waste of time. He's right about one thing. It doesn't seem like I'll get far by asking about her job. Can we move on now? Yeah, sure, you got it. Let's see here. Just to clarify, you don't actually go into the forest, right? Oh, of course not. No amount of money would be worth that much. The forest is very close by, but it's not officially a part of the village, so we leave it alone. I mean, aside from burying witches there, but I'm not involved in that. Wonder how she'd react if I told her I'd gone there myself. Probably poorly, so let's not. So you didn't encounter anything strange before that? Nope, it was actually a pretty easy shift at the start of it. I guess you would have mentioned if anything relevant happened beforehand. Of course, things didn't stay that way for long. What kind of chanting, if you don't mind me asking? It's sort of hard for me to describe. They were repeating the same words over and over again, but it wasn't a language I recognized. Matteo said something about chanting too, but I'm not sure if there's a connection there. Is it Matteo or Matteo? Matteo sounds a bit more correct. I don't know. Strange chanting seems like it's commonly associated with suspected witches. What do these voices sound like anyway? Sorry to say this, but pretty much like your voice. Please don't curse me for saying that, I'm just trying to tell the truth. I was afraid you'd say that, and I don't have the power to curse anyone. Many convicted witches have claimed this. How many of those convicted witches were actually lying though? You'd think an actual witch would just start going on a killing spree in it. I mean, like, I wouldn't blame them personally for killing Rodrigo over there. I guess you can keep going now. Sure, I'll keep telling the truth. Merchant's honor. Oh, cleaner's honor. I'm not going to ask what they look like because I already know what you're going to say. Instead, can I get more details on what you mean by ominous? You know, ominous, scary, like dangerous. That's not really more descriptive than what you said before. I mean, what I saw was two people with very serious and intense expressions. I don't know how else to describe it, honestly. I guess asking about this won't really get us anywhere, so let's move on. Right, the more important part is what happened next. I hope this doesn't upset you, but can you clarify what you mean? It was just a single stabbing motion and it went cleanly? Oh, I don't want to say that. Killing someone is... I don't want to say that killing someone is ever clean or peaceful, but I don't know. It was a probably peaceful death despite the circumstances. I assume they were both ready for whatever the ritual needed. There was no resistance. I must say that I'd rather we not delve too deeply into this. Wait, why not? We need all the information we can get here. I'm sure that myself and the bishop could handle this, but that's about it. Only those of a higher pedigree are able to fully resist the allure of devilry. If we ask Miss Domingo to keep speaking in this matter, you too may be in danger. I really don't think so. No, I think that makes sense. Sorry about that, Mr. Alonso. You're so wise. Thank you for always looking out for us. I really appreciate it a whole lot. And I'm outnumbered here. Guess this is a dead end. I don't like it, but I'll drop it. You can continue. You've got it. How are you so sure it was a ritualistic sacrifice of any kind? I don't think the guards found anything that hinted at anything like that, at least. Honestly, it's just a guess. I got chills watching it. I guess, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but it's the only explanation that makes sense to me. People sure do like to make assumptions about witchcraft to explain away anything. I'm not going to be able to argue against a point like that in a court like this, though. I guess no one here would really know what a witch ritual would really look like. On the contrary, the bishop and myself both do. So you're a witch then? Aha, gotcha. Are you going to elaborate? That would be dangerous, so no. These vile rituals come in many forms. Gotta say, you're starting to sound like a witch yourself, Your Grace. With the way you speak so creepily like that. What? I'm just a normal, sane person. Sounds like a convenient excuse to punish any weird practice as witchcraft to me. Alright. Continue. Can I ask for more detail here? This feels like the most vague part of the testimony so far. Vague? Oh no! Is it not up to the court standards? It seems perfectly fine to me. But clearly, Miss Alvarez thinks she knows better. All I'm saying is I'd like to know more about these finishing touches you mentioned. What did you see this person do exactly? Oh sure, I can answer that. Nice evil witch lady. It's dark. Oh, okay. I had a very limited view of what I could see from the place I was. I remember seeing the witch wipe the knife clean of blood, and then she dropped it. Wait, she just dropped it for no reason? I'm sorry, I don't know if that's part of the ritual too, or she was just shocked at what she did. Doubtless, it was part of the ritual. I don't trust that a witch would have any sort of moral code. Wait just a second. What did she say earlier? Your Grace, I'd like to make a request here. Oh, it may be granted, depending on what it is. I'd like for this testimony to be changed so it reflects what Miss Domingo just said. I don't see the reason, but I suppose you have the right to this. I trust that you'll show us why you felt it was relevant. More likely, she's placing unnecessary stress on the poor girl. Don't worry about me, Mr. Alonso. I'm made of steady stuff. I'll change up my testimony, sure. And if I'm right, this'll be my path forward. I remember that the witch wiped the knife clean after. I couldn't see what else she did. I think we found our contradiction. But we'll press things anyway. Is there any specific reason you couldn't see anything else? I just had a bad angle from where I was hiding. I could definitely tell that something was happening, but not what. Doesn't sound like she's going to be able to elaborate more. Still, that other thing she said is bothering me the more I think about it. Everything's alright here, right? Okay, time to move on. And that was Billy, of course. Oh yes, it was. I must have seemed like such a mess to him. I remember being distraught all over the place. Don't think I even explained to him what happened properly. I was kind of babbling. A woman's heart is fragile, Miss Domingo. You did well to endure the trauma. Still, do bear in mind that the death you witnessed was that of a vile witch. I understand that your emotions must have been all over the place, but you should heed my words. It was not a tragic death. Even if it was by another witch's hand, it's good that she's gone. Now, she can no longer bring harm to anyone else. Oh, I don't know. I think most people would react that way if they saw what she apparently did. Damn it, I really hope this guy gets what's coming to him one day. Definitely shouldn't say that out loud, though. What did you just say out loud? Can we move on from this? I really want to move on from it. Oh, yeah, go ahead. No point pressuring her here anyway, as far as I can see. didn't see any traces of anyone else while you were back? Not a single trace. You can ask Mr. Vargas about that if you'd like. He already taught the court some of the stories, so that part adds up. It's just, it bothers me. You're saying the witch disappeared but didn't bother taking the knife with her? I'm sorry, I really don't know why you didn't take it with you. Oh, I'm sorry, I mean, why she didn't take it with her. Just don't comment on that. And you don't have any guesses as to why the knife was left behind. Maybe it was part of the ritual that it needed to be left there? I don't know. I must say his questions seem pointless to me. I agree. Miss Alvarez, please move on. I guess I'll have to drop it for now if they're so insistent on it. I wonder. I've got it. We'll find that. Which statement is it again? Covered in blood. And there's the problem with your story. Are you talking to me? There's no problems with my story, though. Please save the theatrics and tell us what tepid defense you prepared for us while I get to the end of King Lear. Really don't want to hear that from him of all people. Miss Domingo, did you ever get the chance to look at the knife later on? Well, to tell you the truth, once I brought the guard over, I felt extremely tired. I was really tired from my work shift, and after what I saw, well, you know. I just answered his questions and tried to get to sleep as soon as I could. So, you're saying you haven't seen that knife recently? Yeah? No, I don't think I did. Why? Doesn't it belong to you? Or maybe the other witch? For now, it doesn't really matter where the knife came from. What does matter is that the current state of the knife doesn't match what you just saw, what you just said. Let's have a look here. Ah! Indeed, Miss Alvarez makes a fine point. The knife has been preserved in the state it was found in, and it still clearly has blood on it. But how can this be explained? But that doesn't make sense. How can it still have blood on it? It shouldn't have blood on it. It was wiped clean. I saw it. I know it was. How could I have missed something like that? Miss Domingo, please stop it. Hey, so I understand if you need a moment, but why do you sound so sure of it? Miss Alvarez, don't interrupt me while I'm speaking. I see the Ilbert also have poor manners. I like this face he's got here. Sorry, really didn't feel like listening to you being so you. I've held myself back way too much. I've got to take these small chances while I can. It can't be. How could this happen? You're having a much stronger reaction to this than I thought you would. Is there something else happening here? Your Grace, Mr. Alonso. Whatever is the matter? Do you need some time? I understand that testifying is stressful. I do have the right to call for a recess. Would that help you? No, I don't need a recess. I'm strong. I'm useful. Just don't hate me. Please, don't hate me, whatever you do. Miss Domingo, why would I hate you? Because I messed up. My testimony is good, I swear it. But please, it can't be my long life to toil away forever. Don't hate me. Wait, I think I know what's happening now. Miss Domingo? A word, if I may. Yes? Being a witness in a witchcraft trial takes an immense amount of courage. It's a just deed, but also a thankless one. I happen to have some influence in the capital myself. I guarantee you that I'll be happy to put in a good word for your shop when it opens. Anyone would be happy to buy products from someone dedicated to fighting evil, after all. You mean it? Really? You won't toss me aside? You're not going to toss me aside either, are you, Your Grace? Mr. Mingo, as long as you seek to repent, forgiveness is always possible. I'm sure it was just a simple mistake that you can explain away. Forgiveness is always possible, as long as they see you as human anyway. Damn it, Anna, I can either interpret this the harsh way or the easy way. Either you're a sycophant or the structure of society has broken you already. Do you think you need to do this in order to attain happiness and success? Is that it? I'm so sorry. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Please forgive me. You too, Miss Witch. I'll just avoid correcting you and accept the apology. But, well, not to push you too much here, but we still need answers. Right, so, I think I remember what really happened though. The mistake I made can be easily explained. She seems sure of herself, but how much of that is a mask? In that case, Your Grace, I request additional testimony from Anna Domingo. Is she going to claim now that it's the spade, perhaps? There was something on the spade, but it says here still covered in dirt and soil, so I obviously point that out as well. In that case, Your Grace, I request additional testimony from Anna Domingo. A reasonable enough request. I'm sure that she'll be able to explain why she misspoke. Mr. Alonso, do you have any objections to this? Of course not, Your Grace. I look forward to this decisive testimony. You just, you know, do your thing while I'm just going to read the Match of the Day annual here. Yes, ooh, very interesting. I imagine it will allow us to bring this trial to a close. Didn't he say that about the last testimony? No time for snarky remarks, though. They're right. If Anna can patch the hole in her testimony, and I'm sunk. Let's see how she tries to play this before giving up, though. Deep breaths, Anna. You've got this. Okay. Let me explain what I really saw and I thought the knife was wiped clean. Oh yes. This theme is so good. The now dead witch was carrying a spade with her while conducting the ritual. She used the sharp edge of the spade on the other witch to bloody her, but not that deeply. After that, the spade was wiped clean. Then the witch was stabbed with the knife by the defendant. Everything else I've said is true. I swear it. Please don't think I'm useless. Well, that's a rather different version of events than before. Can I bring something up first? I suppose, if you must. Why did you supposedly see me get stabbed? Sorry, what do you mean? I can make this quick and easy. I've got some old scars, but nothing super recent. So I can prove that I didn't get hurt by showing the skin of whatever area it was. Miss Alvarez, have some modesty. A woman must always fully cover herself in public. Are you being serious now? You've got some skewed priorities. Oh, that wouldn't work. It was a very shallow wound. I bet witches have all sorts of healing magic they can use on themselves, right? So of course you wouldn't have a wound, right? I must say, I think that Mr. Mingo has a point. You can't underestimate the magic that witches possess. The fact that they may have access to healing magic is blasphemy in itself. Yes, we can't discount that possibility. Healing magic, that would be very useful, you know, if being a witch wasn't illegal. You could just have your witches heal your army, for example, whenever they get injured in battle. But, you know, we'll just kill them instead because God told us to. Yes. we can't discount the possibility. Very wise, Your Grace. I wholeheartedly agree. How am I supposed to argue against such a one-sided conclusion like that? I brought up a completely reasonable counterpoint and you shut me down. Ugh, fine. Still think of a different contradiction. Okay, I'm going to request my right to question her testimony now. I'm ready. How cruel of you, Miss Alvarez. Look at her. She's shaking. Ill-bred, ill-mannered, and ill-suited for court, aren't you? Mr. Alonso, we can't abandon the foundations of our justice system. Don't guilt-trip her. Of course she's not going to say anything about the other things you just said. Whatever. Just get through this. I'm tired, but I'm not just going to roll over and die. Let me just go over what I said before. There shouldn't be any problems. I'm sure this is exactly what happened. These witnesses always are. They're always completely sure this is a decisive testimony. We're going to prove you wrong, though. We prove you dead wrong. And we're going to do that next time. So, yeah. Hope you enjoyed. And we're going to, seeing as it's the Allegro music, probably finish her off next time. So, see ya.